Hello and welcome to Just One More Watch, and welcome today to an unbox and initial impression style video on a brand new Oris that was 65% off the RRP. It was purchased at a 2/3 discount on retail. Now, you know I like Oris. I've had at least one of the things in my collection for the last 6 or 7 years now. They're one of the few remaining relatively accessible independent Swiss brands. However, they have definitely been putting their prices up in recent years and taking aim at Tudor and Omega rather than at Rado and Longines. So to get one at 65% off the RRP is quite a deal. Now, a certain Aussie online retailer, who shall remain nameless, had the Oris Pro Pilot Calibre X on a serious sale last week. I had a good look at the deal myself, but decided to keep my card in my wallet. But I know a man who didn't. None other than Mr. P. Thank you once again, my friend, for the loan. Let's flip the camera and peel off some reduced price stickers. You know I love talking about money, and I cannot not talk about money today, can I? The RRP on these watches is $7,300 here in Australia. Those therefore are of course Australian dollars. That is a chunk of change for an Oris in 2024. Now, I'm not going to dox the retailer, I'm not going to name them, however, every single Australian watching this video knows exactly who I'm talking about. These were on general sale to the public at $2,999 over the weekend. However, there was a secret watch club. The first rule of watch club is you don't talk about watch club. Email went out midweek, $2,599. That's the price that Stephen paid. That is ridiculous. Let's get into the box. Right, there it is, Oris Holstein 1904. They've been making watches in the same factory in the same place for well over 100 years now. Let's see what kind of a job they did on this one. Now, before I get into the box, there are a number of different colours of this watch available. The most striking and most entertaining is the Kermit Green. Literally, Kermit Green. Kermit appears on the date once a month at the 6 o'clock. Genius. Then there is a delicate salmon dial with orange hues, or a really interesting looking grey one with kind of dark grey hands. I reckon that is a cracking look. But Stephen didn't go for any of those, he went for blue. Bloody boring blue. Thanks for nothing, Parker. Oh well, at least I won't be tempted to buy this one off you if you flip it, mate. But he loves blue watches just because I don't. That's my problem and not his. Calibre 400 series. Now, this is the reason why this watch is so expensive. This is Oris's new, relatively new, I think it debuted at the beginning of last year, 2023. It's their in-house developed 5-day power reserve calibre. Now, big old rotor on this one, couple of big barrels there as well. 10-year warranty on this watch, 10-year service interval on the movement. Again, contextualise all of this with the price today. I have no doubt that Stephen took all of 10 seconds deciding whether or not he was going to buy one of these. I don't particularly blame him. All right, let's get into the box and let's have a finally have a look at the watch. Actually, it's not a bad shade of blue. It's quite a dark grey shade of blue. I don't mind it at all. What else is in the box? Well, you get one of these little folders containing a product manual and warranty card. Look at the size of that manual. Mind you, it is in about a dozen different languages. And I'll just cover the serial number. Not that I think anybody is particularly faking these at the moment, but there you go. Register online, 10-year warranty. And just in case that hasn't quite sunk in yet, they give you a little blue hang tag here, emphasising the 10-year warranty once more. Another hang tag with the model reference. Now, this is one of this watch's USPs. It's a pilot's watch, of course, and they have designed this buckle to look like the quick release of a plain seatbelt. Very, very funky. So I believe you just lift the top, and there we are. It pops off the cushion, and let's peel off the rest of the stickers while we are here. Made of titanium, this one. Very, very light indeed in hand. Now, I will size it, even though I hear that the screws are very small. I've got some small screwdrivers in the house, so I will give Stephen a bit of a head start in sizing it. Let's peel off the rest of the stickers. There we go, just the last couple of stickers here protecting the titanium clasp, and we are done. Plenty of protective packaging on this one, ensuring that it gets to where it's going in great shape. Now, one thing you may have noticed, it's an automatic watch, and I have been chucking it around here for the last couple of minutes, but it hasn't started ticking yet. These caliber 400s, there we are, screw down crown on this one as well, they take a hell of an initial wind before they show any life whatsoever. I have one in the back of my latest and probably greatest Oris Diver 65. Here we go. Still nothing. That's what, 15, 20 winds. I'll keep going. Those two big boy barrels definitely need a little bit of charging before the second hand starts ticking. What's that, 20 winds? 30 winds. How many times am I going to have to wind it? I'll give it a little bit of a shake. There we go. That got the job done. It's alive. It's alive and it's lovely. That is a really nice shade of kind of deep grey blue. This is a Pro Pilot, but it's not really a traditional pilot's watch. Perhaps when you think of a pilot's watch, you think of a Flieger style watch, or if you are thinking of a more contemporary watch, maybe you think of an IWC Mark style watch. This is neither of those things. It's contemporary to the point that it's arguably futuristic. You've got that jet turbine propeller style angled bezel, that same pattern replicated on the crown, and for a third time on the screw down case back. And check the bracelet. Again, it's all kind of angles and almost kind of overlapping. It looks like an armadillo or something in some respects, angled down towards the clasp. Now, the clasp is really pretty cool. It's a little bit kitsch, but it's also a little bit fun as well. However, no micro adjust here whatsoever. Now, titanium watch, light watch, as discussed, it's okay therefore to wear it a little bit looser than you otherwise might do, which is just as well because you're pretty much forced to do exactly that. Okay, let's get rid of a few of these links and come back with dimensions and specifications. Alright, that wasn't too bad actually. It was indeed a small screw, 1mm screws. I do have a 1mm screwdriver though, and I managed to remove 3 links from this side without cheesing any of those screws, which is always a relief when you're dealing with someone else's brand new loaner watch, even if that someone else does happen to be your good friend and business partner. I measure this one as 38.8, Oris calls it a 39, but my calipers say slightly different. Thickness of 12.3 with a 47 bang-on lug to lug, 20 mils between the lugs. The bracelet does taper down to 16 and back up to just under 21 at the widest point of that slightly unusual angular clasp. With those 3 links removed, sized loosely, admittedly, for my 7-inch wrist, it weighs in at 93 grams. 100 meters of water resistance and a screw-down crown for pilots who bail their planes. Double dome sapphire crystal with anti-reflective undercoating, the hang tag told us so, and in the rear is the Oris Caliber 400. And there it is. Now, it's not a particularly decorated movement, but it is very neat and tidy to look at, as you would hope, considering the price they are charging for watches containing one of these. 21 jewels. Now, this one is not COSC certified, but Oris claim -3 to +5 seconds per day variance, and etched into the main plate there it says that it has been adjusted to 5 positions. Remarkable 120-hour 5-day power reserve. Remarkable 10-year warranty, in case you had forgotten. The case finish, however, is unremarkable. No fancy chamfers, no mixture of brushed and polished surfaces. Very utilitarian, very tooly, all the signature dull grey that you get from untreated grade 2 titanium. Lots of angles on here as well as those kind of turbine marks in that fixed bezel, matching those on the case back. Now the bracelet, very, very unusual. Don't see too many with this particular configuration. And as you can see, if I show you a top profile, they angle down those edges, the 2 outer links angle down away from the mid link as well. So they angle away from the mid link in 2 different dimensions. The end links, I wouldn't describe them as male, I wouldn't describe them as female either. They do angle down sharply though. It is a small compact watch, this one, at coming in just under 39 on my calipers. I would say if you have much bigger a wrist than 7.5 inches, you might be better off going for one of the regular Pro Pilot watches, or perhaps even the big boy 44mm X rather than this one. The dial I would also describe as unremarkable. There's not an awful lot going on here. Everything is just printed on. None of those indices are applied. Long, slender printed white batons. Singles on the hours, double at 12. Now, there are some loom plots beyond those lengthy batons in a kind of slightly recessed minute track around the outer edge of the dial, and 2 of the 3 main hands are loomed, no loom on either end of the second hand. The Oris brand logo is just printed on there, as is Pro Pilot X in 5 days, boasting about that power reserve printed just above the date complication. Always love a date complication at 6 though rather than 3, just keeps things nice and symmetrical. And with those long batons, there is almost the look of a sector dial here. Swiss made, obviously, printed either side of that date window down at 6. Now the hands are kind of slender sword style hands in brushed stainless steel, very much matching the case here. Again, kind of all brushed utilitarian look. Like I said, unremarkable, but I'm sure that's exactly what Oris were aiming at with this one. The loom, well, if we're going to continue that theme, it falls into the unremarkable rather than remarkable category. Printed dials, it's always a struggle unless you just put masses of loom, pilot high, or have a big old loom plot. These ones, as you can see, are much, much smaller. BGW9, I believe that's what Oris use on this and the majority of their watches. If I turn the speed up, yeah, it's okay. The hands are still there at the end of the test, but not much else is, to be honest. But it wears really nicely. Great set of dimensions for my average size 7-inch wrist. I tend to prefer this 40 or slightly below 40 for my kind of daily drivers. And I also prefer titanium for my daily drivers, so I'm really appreciative of something coming in at under 100 grams. Like I said though, you're obliged to wear it loose. Not a particular problem because it's light, but yeah, depending on how you personally wear your watches, that may or may not suit. Overhead legibility is pretty good, as you would hope from a pilot's watch, especially considering the smaller than average dimension. Those big simple batons, the hour markers printed on the dial, are very noticeable, and the hands are also pretty good as well. The grey one I showed you earlier on, perhaps not so much. Perhaps though, the Kermit could be the pick of the bunch if you're actually concerned about legibility. Moans and nickels. Well, am I reviewing a $7,300 Australian dollar watch today or a $2,600 Australian dollar watch today? Look, regardless of the price paid, the lack of micro adjust is a little bit unusual. Could they not have extended this somehow? Kind of incorporated that last link into a kind of covered section and given us 2 or 3 micro adjust holes and that funky clasp in the one thing? I reckon they probably could have had they tried a little bit harder. And the loom, yeah, not amazing. Some Orises are good, some Orises aren't. This one comes somewhere in between. But let's circle back to the prices then that I talked about in the beginning. RRP of $7,300. I don't think so. 7.3 will get you any watch you like from the Tudor catalogue. Now, I know they're not the same, but you could buy a Pelagos 39 in titanium for well less than the RRP of this one. This movement is all singing, all dancing. It's probably better technically than the Pelagos movements, but I would still go for one of those rather than one of these. Plus, I think there will be a general perception that this one isn't great value for money because it only has a printed dial rather than something more complex. Exactly a month ago, I made a video talking about what I think is one of the best bargains on the used luxury watch market at the moment here in Australia, the Tudor Ranger. I like the Ranger a lot, but again, I think it struggles with a lack of perceived value, partly because of the printed dial. When I read the comments on that video, most of them are saying exactly that. I'm not saying a printed dial automatically makes a watch look cheap, but it certainly doesn't automatically make a watch look expensive. But at 2,600 Aussie dollars, holy shit, what a deal. No wonder Mr. P thought for all of about 10 seconds before he had this one in his cart and his card out of his wallet. Would I do a straight swap for my Caliber 400 Diver 65 though? Probably not. This is only 20 grams more and I prefer the dive style to the pilot style, to be honest. I prefer that more retro look, but hey, that's just me. And if I was buying an Oris Pro Pilot, it would be this one. I've had the hots for this limited edition Coulson Pro Pilot since it was launched a couple of years ago. So if the Aussie retailer that had this one on special last week is watching, any chance of a deal on the Coulson this weekend? Pretty please? So there you have it, the Oris Pro Pilot X Caliber 400. Awesome watch at the right price. That was definitely the right price. If you fancy watching more Oris content, click here or here. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you again in the next one.